You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities, Thursday, August 7th. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. We thank you for doing that. If you've subscribed, thanks. If you have not, shame on you. What are you waiting for? Do that. That helps us out a ton. And then tell a friend or two or 20 or 100 about what we're doing here in the Quad Cities, Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Each and every weekday, it's been a lot of fun. We're also live on X. X has been very, very good to us. And, of course, you can check us out on all the podcasting platforms, when it's Spotify, Apple, Podbean, HIte, you name it, you should be able to find Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. So check us out in the audio version as well, if you're so inclined. As I always mention, better to listen to me than look at me. I don't know if it's good either way, but whatever you want, however you want to do it, thank you guys for supporting the show. A lot to get to today, a little bit to talk about for the rest of the week. An exciting time of year because it is football season. It's right around the corner, and it's what's filling our shows right now, and it's going to continue to fill our shows for the next several weeks. Coming up today, in a matter of moments, we're going to talk Cyclone football with our good friend Jake Brend from the CycloneFanatic. Man, I'm talking all week. It's 23 days, I think, now from the start of college football season. 22 for high school football season. But for Iowa State, it's even sooner. It's 16 days, I think, from right now till Iowa State kicks off in Ireland against a huge rival and a huge game in Kansas State. So we got a lot to talk about. Always thankful for my friend Jake Brend for doing that. So we're going to join him in just a matter of moments. We're going to continue our OTA high school football previews. They've been a ton of fun this week. Thank you for the feedback. Really fun to sit down with these coaches and chat with them. I've known a lot of them for, well, if you ask them, probably way too long. But today we're going to chat on the Iowa side with Davenport North head coach Adam HIte, his 7th season at North. The Wildcats have a talented roster this year. They're in 4A now. So a lot of different changes and some new faces and some returning talent. So we'll get to them in a little bit. And then in hour number 2, we'll go to the Illinois side, and our good friend Jeremy Adolpson from Monmouth Roseville will join us to talk about the Titans that went 8-1 last year. So a really good football program, a good dude as well. So Jeremy Adolpson coming up in hour number 2 of the show as well, and a little bit of fun in between. So a lot to get to. If you've missed this week, Tom Cakert's been on. Corey Ross from the Wheelers as the Wheelers get ready for the Eastern Conference Championship game. Jordan Vesey, a Wheelers wide receiver. He's been on as well. Chris Dewar, one of the best in the business from down in the Quincy area, getting out of the TV business after 30 years and starting something new on his own. Kind of crazy, weird. Sound familiar? So great to talk with him, plus coaches from both sides of the river. It's been a really busy week. A note for tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow's show is not in the morning, so not at 10 a.m. Don't come looking for the show at 10 a.m. We'll be in the afternoon, and we're going to be live from Iowa Football Media Day, taking the gear. Thank you to Matt Weitzel and all the guys up at the Iowa football office for allowing me to do that. Pat Anger will be on, hoping to track down Gary Dolphin, maybe Rod Brooks, some players, some coaches, all that kind of stuff. It's a influx situation, but excited about it, and some personal news that I get to announce tomorrow as well. So should be a ton of fun. 2:30ish, 3 o'clock, something along those lines. We'll get it out on social media exactly when we go on air, looking at like 2:30 when we do that as well. So excited. OTA live at Iowa Football Media Day. So excited about that. Excited about today's show. We're going to get to it in just a second. A few news and notes to get to before we get to our interviews. We love to do that each and every day. And we got some Quad City representation in the NFL right now. Yesterday, when we had Chip Filler on the show, and Orion standout, Logan Lee listed in the two deeps with Pittsburgh, his second season with the Steelers. We're excited about that, but kind of staying on the Cyclone trend and the Cyclone topic, Darian Porter was a second-round pick of the Las Vegas Raiders, and he right now is listed as the starting cornerback, for the Raiders. So he's having a great camp, and you go and you look at it, it was a year ago that he hadn't even started a game in college, and now he's listed on the depth chart as a starting cornerback for the Raiders. So awesome stuff for him. Congratulations to him. Nothing is achieved yet. The season hasn't started yet, but he's looked good in camp, and he's one of the best dudes you're ever going to meet. The Bettendorf standout, Iowa State standout. So congratulations so far to Darian Porter. Keep working. Keep an eye on him. Quad Cities loves to support their own. So keep an eye on the Raiders this year. He's doing good things. Quick baseball. Cubs win. That's a beautiful thing. 6-1 over the Reds. If you're a Cub fan, unfortunately, the Brewers won yesterday 5-4 to Atlanta, so it's still a 3-game lead for the Brewers in one of the most competitive divisions in Major League Baseball. So we'll see what the Cubs can do down the stretch we go. So we started by talking about Darian Porter, so we're going to keep with the Cyclone theme and be joined now by our good friend Jake Brend from the CycloneFanatic. First and foremost, I'll talk to you quickly about Darian Porter. That's a guy that you've watched so closely for the last several years and watched last year. And you can attest, really good human being. And you love to see good guys do good things. That's exciting. And I believe I saw the wide receiver, help me, down in Houston.
Jaden Higgins, thank you. He's listed as a starter as well down there.
I guess we'll start with the local guy, Darian Porter. That's cool stuff.
Yeah, it's a testament to obviously Porter and his hard work. He came to Iowa State as a receiver. He wanted to be a wide receiver in college, like a lot of people do, and became pretty clear early that he probably wasn't going to get the role that he wanted as a receiver, and he could have easily transferred. He could have looked to go down a level, and he's probably a day one starter at a MAC program, or he was given the option to go switch to the other side of the ball. And what does he do? He gets some reps on the other side of the ball, but mainly carves out a role on special teams, wins Iowa State several games alone by his role on special teams, blocked so many punts. I think he blocked 5 punts and field goals in his career.
That's crazy.
That's unheard of. And he just stayed the course, worked hard, and carved out a role as a star cornerback, as a graduate senior, and now he's not just getting a shot in the NFL to get into a team camp and make the roster. He is legitimately competing for reps, and it's a cool story for a guy that had every opportunity to say, well, why me? Why am I getting the short end of the stick? And instead of bolting in a day of college football where that seems to be what everybody does, if you don't play after a year or two, he carved out a role, and now he'll be remembered for a long, long time in Ames, and that can only go up from here if he's able to become a really good NFL player.
He's a very laid-back young man, a great kid, and it was funny because we had him on our draft show over at Oscars when it was the day before he got drafted, and we asked him, and Anger was right there, about the Iowa game, and it was great because he finally threw some shade and said, yeah, it was great. That was a school that didn't look at me too much, and to win and make big plays. You look at some of the interceptions he made last year as well.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he did a lot of great things for the 22 ranked Iowa State Cyclones in the coaches poll. I guess we're going to start there. And that came out yesterday in our neck of the woods with the Quad Cities. It was Illinois at 12 and Iowa State at 22, and then nothing for Iowa. 22 top 25. I'm a poll dork. Like, I grew up like getting the paper early in the morning on a Monday. I'm way older than you, Jake. I'm going to show my age, and like going and seeing where they're ranked and if it was, and so to be 22 in the top 25, does that fit? Is that what you expect?
Yeah.
Is that what you kind of see? Kind of talk about that number 22 coaches poll ranking.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think in a normal world, you probably don't have as many SEC teams getting the benefit of the doubt in the top 20. But I said going into the season, I think anywhere in probably that 17 to 22, 23 range is where they should be. Now, we'll see with the AP poll. I definitely think there's a world where Iowa State's unranked in the AP poll, and that's more of just it's a two-man game, and that those two men are the SEC and the Big Ten. But the coaches gave the Big 12 plenty of respect. I didn't think BYU'd be ranked. They shouldn't be ranked. I've just filled out my Big 12 preseason poll this morning, and I've got BYU finishing 13th. So the fact that they're ranked 23rd, that blew my mind.
You didn't see Kansas State, I don't believe, in the top 25.
Yeah, so K-State is 20th, I believe.
Oh, I missed it. Wait, oh,
Yes.
duh. Yeah, there it is. So you're looking at a top 25 matchup in Ireland. I guess before we get into the X's and O's of that matchup and stuff, it's already the first game of the season, basically, for college football. It's already in freaking Ireland. It's already a rivalry, and now you can throw on top of it, it's two ranked teams. We've talked about it on this show with you before. I can't stress how big of a game this is a week before college football even starts. It's huge in so many different ways. And that's just the ranking thing is kind of another reason why it's a huge game for the Cyclones.
It is. I know I've already said it here. It's not only the biggest game of the season. I think it's the biggest game to open a season for Iowa State probably ever. At least going back to the 2002 game against Florida State, where Seneca Wallace most likely was in at Arrowhead Stadium. It's been so long since Iowa State has played this meaningful of a game to open the season. And I was playing with these Big 12 standings generators. As I was filling out my poll, I was pretty much just going game by game and picking BYU loses to you, blah, 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 and it generated all the standings. And what I found, if Iowa State loses to K-State, there's not really a way that they get in at 7-2 between the tiebreakers. And I was switching out results to say, oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? And the same vice versa. Whoever loses this game is going to have a really hard time to get into the Big 12 championship game unless they run the table. And I know we don't want to be talking about Big 12 championship the day the state fair starts, when the Big 12 championship is in the beginning of December. But the fact of the matter is that's the type of stakes that this game has. And I know that things can change. There's a world where Iowa State loses this game and then K-State goes out and loses 4 in a row at some point, and all of that doesn't really matter. But with where these two teams are expected to be in that 9-10 win range, this is a game that essentially puts the other one 2 games ahead. And that to open the season with that is enormous. And that's not even counting that everybody in the country is going to be watching the game. It's the first college football game of the year, and it sets the momentum for not only the rest of the season, but a very important next month of September.
Jake Brend from the CycloneFanatic joining me right now and off there with Matt Randazzo. I want to talk about the game itself, and I'm probably going to bug you again before you get to go over to Ireland. I am freaking so jealous of you. It's ridiculous. But so I'll probably bug you again, but I want to talk about the game itself in a second. But you are locked in to what goes on in Ames right now. The new gig has been fantastic. I love watching it on social media and the sites and all that kind of stuff. You're there a lot. You're dialed in. You're talking to Coach. What's the biggest headline? Is there like a headline in your mind that you've been surprised by or anything when it comes to what you've seen so far with Iowa State that got started early because they're going over to Ireland? What are you getting out of camp right now?
I think it's just a little surprising to me that the feeling within the building is that 1 through 85, they feel better about this team than they did last year. And there's a lot of different factors that come into play with that, because last year the linebackers went through injury after injury after injury and were playing fourth and fifth string guys. And you had two incredible wide receivers. You had two of the top 10 receivers in your program history on the team at the same time. But behind that, there wasn't a ton of receiver depth. The tight ends were banged up. So I think the thought is that this team, healthy, is deeper and has more options than last year. But the thing is, the schedule's a lot tougher this year. And starting the year in Ireland we already talked about it. It's putting a lot on the line early. So that's what I think I'm surprised about, is that you lose Knoll, Higgins, Darian Porter, your left tackle, Jalen Travis to the NFL. All those guys to the NFL. You lose a couple of guys in the secondary that have been mainstays. And from the sounds of it, and some coaches not saying it publicly, that they feel that this roster from top to bottom is better than it was last year. And that's just a little surprising to me.
It's exciting for Iowa State fans to have that vibe, that feel. And when you get to a program that's been built in Ames, it's almost, I don't want to say expected, but that's if you want to be in the conversation of conference championship games, that's where you have to be. Last week, Matt Campbell announced he didn't announce it, but they announced a new contract extension. I remember being it was last week. I remember being out east on vacation thinking, dang, if I was doing a show, I'd talk to Jake Brend right now. What I know it's a little later. It was last week, but your thoughts on that extension? Is it just to not put the ball, punt the can down the road, but keep things secure longer? Or was there a reason it was announced when it was announced? Your thoughts on just the extension itself?
Well, so the extension was agreed back in December. So when that press release came out, I had to think, didn't he just sign one? And then it's getting finalized. Okay. So all of the terms, and I don't have any official reporting on that, but my best journalistic guess is the reason it took so long was waiting for the rev share, waiting for all of the lawsuits in Washington, D.C., because a big part of this contract is Campbell is making below market value, well below market value. And that is him sacrificing. That he hasn't gone on record and would never admit that publicly, but according to ESPN's report, Matt Campbell is sacrificing money to go to his assistant coaches, to go back into the rev share pot for his players. And again, that's not official, that's not in the contract. But when you look at me and say that Matt Campbell's only making $5 million, that is well below what a 3-time Big 12 Coach of the Year and the best coach in program history should be making. So that's just a testament to him. He has every right to go. I don't know what the number is. He has every right to go take $7.5 or $8 million for himself, but he realizes that the best way to build a winner is be selfless and put it back into the pot for everybody else. And I think that'll go a long ways. And now the good news, he's got some pretty good incentives in there. A 12-win season would warrant $1.5 million. Ooh. An 11-win would be $1.25 million. So it's a very win incentive-based contract. It's not as much make the college football playoff, because I think the college football playoff is only a $100,000 bonus. So it's more so if you're winning 9, 10, 11 games consistently, you're pretty much making an extra $1 million a year for yourself. And that, I think that's the way to do it, because there are so many unknowns when you tie in the college football playoff. Are you the 10th best team in the country and get treated like the 20th? So I do think it's probably smart on his end to make it win-based and not achievement-based.
Great insight from Jake Brend from the CycloneFanatic. Jake, we talked about who they've lost. Obviously, we know that quarterback's back and he's really good. What has camp looked like with weapons around him? Two guys that went in the second round in the NFL draft and are going to play on Sundays this year. What's that next group look like? And how important is that as a early season test with Kansas State looms? Where do they look at that position?
Yes, so they bring in 2 transfer receivers. And by all accounts, these guys are brought in as similar prototypes, similar production goals to replace Higgins and Knowles. Chase Sowell from East Carolina, he's your prototypical X receiver. He similar build to Jaden Higgins, similar type of player. And then they bring in Xavier Townsend from UCF. He's a slot guy, shifty, again, similar to Jalen Knoll. I think the caution I would put is that it typically takes a little bit of adjustment for a transfer receiver. We've seen this decade with Iowa State, 2 of the best receivers in program history are transfers, but it took them about 5 or 6 games to really get adjusted. Higgins really struggled early on in his Iowa State career. Xavier Hutchinson, people were wondering if he was ever going to show up, and then once he showed up on the scene, the rest was history. So that's where I would caution fans that even if they're being brought in as the Higgins-Knoll replacement, I don't think you're going to get your 65% of Rocco's yards to those 2 guys right away. The good news is Rocco has said multiple times that he thinks that the receiver room is way deeper this year than it was last year. And that's because you have a lot of guys who maybe took turns as the third option last year, a lot of young guys that now you can go 6 or 7 deep in the receiver room, where last year it was probably only 3 or 4 guys. And then the tight ends is where that's where I'd expect the most production to come out of early in the season, because Ben Bramer is essentially just a third receiver. He can block. He's a big dude, but he's a freak for his size. And then Gabe Burkle was probably the most improved player on Iowa State's offense last year. He had 2 catches entering November, and he finished 3rd on the team in catches with almost 30. He exploded the last month of the season. And I would expect Bramer and Burkle to really be the focus of the passing attack.
Have you started, I know you have, but looking at that matchup against Kansas State and more, yeah. I mean, obviously you look on a paper and it's 20 versus 22. It's 2 rivals, conference favorites, all those kind of things. Where is this game decided? What does Iowa State have to do well? What are the opportunities, if that makes any sense, for them to take advantage of Kansas State over in Ireland?
This game is decided where every Farmageddon is, and it's up front. Because K-State, pretty much year in, year out, is always going to have the advantage on the offensive and defensive lines. There's been maybe 1 or 2 exceptions of that, but not a ton. So the key is you don't really have to win that battle, but you have to manage it a little bit. You can't allow K-State to run for 150 yards. And you also have to be able to run the ball just a little bit on them. And they've proven to be able to do that in the past. So I think if I'm going to focus on Iowa State's defense against K-State's offense, I think if you can hold their running game to under 100 yards and force Avery Johnson, who is very talented, maybe the most talented quarterback in the conference, but if you can make him throw, he is mistake prone. He lost a couple games last year. You could argue he lost the game against Iowa State last year. He took a safety when they started that play at the 25-yard line because he just kept running back, and he is prone to do dumb things if you allow him the opportunity. But if they're running the ball for 5 or 6 yards a pop and you don't really have to ask him to go make plays on 3rd and 10, they're going to have a really, really hard time beating K-State.
What's this trip look like for you? I know you're getting to go over there, the family. Have you packed? When do you leave? What's that kind of look like? This has got to be like a bucket list thing for you. Have you been over to Europe, to Ireland?
I haven't.
Assuming? Good, because you're too young to be already been gone to Ireland. What's that been like for you? I know it's something that you're looking forward to with your family and work-wise as well, to get to that as well.
I'm just ready to be there. I'm so excited. I fly out Monday the 18th, I believe is the day that is. So we'll get there Tuesday morning, like 9 a.m., avoiding jet lag, going to get right into the day, do some sightseeing, hit a couple pubs, and it's going to be a blast. Going to do a little bit of work while over there. Luckily, Matt Schultz in the Iowa State Athletic Communication Department has made this smart move, and they're doing the pre-K-State media availability next Thursday instead of the normal Tuesday, because so many of the media members are already going to be in Ireland. So I'm going to be able to knock out a bunch of work before I leave and in the airport, which is nice. So I'll be able to mostly enjoy vacation. Well, I'll be enjoying it while working too, but
sure,
mostly doing touristy stuff instead of podcasting like you.
What's the touristy stuff?
The Guinness factory is what I'm looking forward to.
Bless you.
It's what I've heard is the best. We're also we're doing some genealogy stuff. I've got a lot of Irish blood. So
it's cool.
I don't know how it works, but you can go and essentially find exactly where like your great grandparents lived, and you can go walk around the town and stuff like that. So I think we're going to do that. We're going to hit the cliffs. I don't know if those cliffs are in Dublin, but there's so much to do in a relatively small island.
Yeah. What are the thoughts for when it comes to the Cyclones traveling? Do you know fan base wise what to expect? And I know that they've done a great job selling it and all those kind of things. What does that look like? What will the stadium look like? Is it going to be a lot of red and gold? Is it going to be more purple? What are your thoughts when it comes to that kind of stuff?
I can't speak for K-State, but I'd expect it to be pretty 50-50 because very similar fan base demographics. A lot of farmers, pretty similar financials between the two fan bases. So I can't anticipate one fan base overpowering the other. But I could be completely wrong. Iowa State fans have proven me wrong before. And I was at a Channel Seed event, one of our great sponsors last night. Pretty sure every single Channel Seedsman that I talked to is going to Ireland. So that there's a lot of people that are making the trip. So it's going to feel like a bowl game. But again, once the ball's kicked, it is anything but a meaningless bowl game that's there just for betting purposes. Yeah,
it's going to be a huge game. One more before I let you go. You mentioned your Big 12 predictions. You mentioned BYU at 13 or whatever. What does the top look like? When you handed them in, give me your top 5 maybe.
So I've got K-State winning the league.
Ooh, did everybody hear that? Jake Brend has K-State. Ooh.
They've got a tough schedule, but it's a favorable schedule.
Okay.
And they get a lot of their really good teams at home.
Who do you have winning the game in Ireland?
K-State.
Okay.
So that's where if my poll will be invalid, possibly week 0, because if K-State loses to Iowa State, then I very well could
flip things around.
Could flip that to Iowa State winning the league. And
sure.
I've got Utah in second. I expect a bounce back year from them. There's too much history with them having a really good defense. They've maybe got the best offensive line in the country, and their new quarterback from New Mexico, Devin Dampier, and the skill position guys just have to be good enough, and I think they will be. Got Arizona State 3rd, Iowa State 4th, Baylor 5th.
Okay.
And again, when I filled out my schedule and did the schedule for all these teams, I had a 5-way tie at the top of 7-2. So, I picked Iowa State to finish 4th, but really I picked all these 5 schools to finish tied for 1st, and that's just how the tiebreakers told me it'd work out if things went the way I expected.
It's going to be a fascinating season in the Big 12. It's going to be a fascinating week 1. You get to start things off before everybody else. Before I let you go, tell me about CycloneFanatic. I think people here in the eastern side of the state, one, they take advantage of. If you're an Iowa State fan, you already know about it. It's nothing new. CycloneFanatic is a staple of Iowa State athletics. But if you're listening to this over on the eastern side of the state and you're a Cyclone fan and you're like, Randazzo's an idiot and he talks about Iowa too much. Which probably both are true. How do you get the stuff that you're getting social media wise, CycloneFanatic wise? Let people know how to get locked in.
Yeah, the absolute easiest and best way is, at this point, subscribe to CycloneFanatic on YouTube. That is where everything is going. Also, do visit CycloneFanatic.com. We do have very good written content as well, but the majority of the stuff that I'm doing, I've launched this new show called The Daily Clone. It's 6, 7, 8 minute daily podcast, but it's more so reporting. Very little opinion. It's more so, hey, I'm at, right after we get off this call, I'm going to head up to Ames. We've got the O-line coach, running back coach, a couple players. I'm going to have a 6, 7, 8 minute report just from what I learned today in Ames. So that is where the future of this stuff is going, and it's only going to get better once the season gets underway. So CycloneFanatic, YouTube, on X, Facebook, CycloneFanatic.com. Those are all the best ways to follow what we're doing at CF.
You're killing it. You're doing a great job. I love watching it. I can't wait to. We'll try to bug you again next week before you head off to Ireland, and then enjoy the heck out of the trip. Enjoy it with the family. Enjoy the Guinness. Have at least 1 or 10 for me, and then we'll catch up when you get back. So, Jake, I appreciate you. Get your butt up to Ames. We'll talk to you again here real soon.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Dazzo.
All right. That is Jake Brend from the CycloneFanatic. Again, if you guys are looking for Iowa State content, follow him on X. I think it's Jake Brend TV. And then go to the YouTube page, subscribe to that. And CycloneFanatic has been doing it at a high level for years now. And just Jake joining them gives a... And you look at the effect that Iowa State has here in the Quad Cities. I don't know if "effect's" the right word, but there's a ton of local kids at Iowa State. And the women's basketball coach is from Davenport, Bill Fenley. So a great tie and a great fan base for Iowa State here in the Quad Cities. So I mean, I got to tell Jake to send me a mini helmet. I got a new mini helmet I got to add to the thing coming up here real soon. I'm excited about that. So anyways, check out Jake's stuff. Iowa State starting a week earlier. Huge game against Kansas State. We got more to get to coming up next. We're going to continue our high school football previews here in the Quad Cities and on OTA by chatting with Davenport North head coach Adam HIte. The Wildcats had a good season last year. They've had plenty of talent in recent years, and they have more talent again this year as well. So he's excited. I'm excited to talk to him. Adam HIte is next right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak, with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo, now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. High school football season is coming. 3 weeks from tomorrow, we kick off the high school football season, continuing our previews around the area with a coach from Iowa and Illinois each and every day. It's our 4th day of doing it, and I'm already getting a hard time from Adam HIte because he's number 4 and not number 1. Hey, Coach, you're number 4 in the rotation. You're number 1 in my heart. You know that.
We're like family friends. We have a lot of mutual family friends there. So,
absolutely.
But actually, we kick off a week from tonight, or 3 weeks from tonight.
Oh, you're Thursday night.
Yeah, we're a Thursday night special. We're the one of the first games in Iowa and our only Thursday night game of the year, so we're excited about that.
I love that. You say only Thursday night game of the year. Do you like Thursday nights and being the only game in town? Would you prefer to play on a Friday? Does it make a difference? Your thoughts on that being the only one?
I hate Thursday night games. It's just me personally. We try to embrace them throughout the week. You know, we're used to them. The other team's not. I feel bad for Muscatine. That's who we're playing. It feels like every time Muscatine comes to town, they have to play whatever Davenport school. It's a Thursday night for them. So, and we don't do that intentionally. It just seems like that's how it always works out. But I'm not a big fan of them. I personally would rather play on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. But I know in the state of Iowa, we don't want to mess with the Hawkeyes and Cyclones. So it just throws off the kids' routine and the coach's routine. We have to go a little bit faster. But if we can pull off this W that first week, Labor Day weekend will be a lot sweeter.
Absolutely, absolutely. Adam HIte joining right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Coach, before we talk about the team and get into the X's, O's and all that kind of stuff, what has this offseason been like for you? Obviously, great success last year. A lot of victories, a lot of big victories against rivals, all those kind of things. The momentum of your program. We talked last year. I think we did a score on the road for WQAD, and we talked a lot about it. The program is going in an exciting direction. Talk about where you, and not just you, but your staff, have this program and where it can get to, and the progress that you guys have had since you've been there.
I guess the big thing and just the tradition of Davenport with coaches is consistency. You know, I'm already this is going to be year 7 for me, and in Davenport, that's a long time for a lot of coaches. And it's just been consistency for the kids, you know, them knowing kind of, like I said, that routine, you know, the off season, we've gotten the schedule down for the summer, like they know what's going on. And then the big thing too was our junior class. You know, we had a great senior class last year, taking nothing away from them. They did a great job. I would say leading by example and being vocal leaders, but we had a lot of juniors that step up and just did exactly what they were supposed to do. They were also being vocal too. And it's carried over into the offseason here, guys holding each other accountable. And that's huge. And if you can get that going, it's just going to be a snowball effect for the rest of your years.
you kind of look at motivation for Davenport North football going into this year, and I get more into motivation, I think, than maybe coaches do sometimes, but it's different. You look at last season, and there's a lot of success that does motivate you, and victories over teams you want to beat, and that gets you motivated, but the end goal wasn't what you wanted, and so that probably motivates you as well. Talk about that. I know you want to flip the page and get to the next season and not dwell on last season, but there are two kind of motivations from last year, a lot of pluses you can build on, but maybe a taste in your mouth that you want to make better this year, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, we did. At least I've been doing. I got back to being a play caller again on offense. I did a real big deep dive into like my play calling and my situational awareness. The big analytic right now is fourth down. So it's something I looked at. Was there any situations, I should have punted or instead of go for it, or I should have gone for it instead of punted. So we've done a big deep dive into that. And it's just improving on what we've established here. And that's been huge. Like coach say it all the time. I really do have the best coaching wife in the world. She's here at North. She's a business teacher. She ran our leadership academy for us. It was a great opportunity for her to sit back and talk to the kids, not have a coach present. It was kind of like that outside figure a little bit. And she took what she knows from the business world and she implemented it into our football team. And that's really, really helped out. Players call for meetings with her when we do have issues, and she comes in and she's that mediator between everybody, and we actually get more out of it, and we leave situations better. And it's definitely helped with our leadership overall. So I just wanted to give her a shout out because she is the best coaching wife in the world for doing that. Getting to school early with donuts and chocolate milk to have meetings with high school kids about what leadership looks like.
No, absolutely. You mentioned going on fourth down. I'm a Lions fan, Coach. Like, Deanna Campbell's right here. I actually just bought a shirt. My wife doesn't love it, but it says fourth down and F it. Go Lions. Mm-hmm. So, do that this year. Just go for it all. Yeah. Why not?
We found one this year. I texted our coaches group chat. I'm like, all right, guys, what are you going to do? And it was 4th and 7 from the plus 43, 5 minutes left. You're up 26-14. And you just had a big run, to get to the plus side of the 50. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? And it was split 50-50. And then it was the conversation. Then I had to tell them guys, you got to be able to make that decision in 10 seconds because you got to get whatever team's going. And that was kind of an eye opener for them. And it was just one of those, I'm the head coach, but I'm the play caller. And I just trying to be better situationally, in that kind of situation right there. It's really easy for me to just yell punt on the fourth down. But is that a situation we could have went for it and kept the momentum going in our direction? And it was actually a game that we ended up losing late in the game.
Sure.
So it's just kind of one of those weird situations. That's what we've done. Just a big deep dive into how us as coaches can improve, with game management practice. Is there a technique we can teach differently?
I love it. Adam HIte joining me right now and off there with Matt Randazzo. When it comes to Davenport North, I think quarterback, and I think Mosier, I think Rabarchik, I think you've been blessed with a lot of them. And I'm getting ready for the interview today, and I'm like, what's going on? What's Coach HIte doing? Who's there? So you can kind of tell me, what does that position look like? And you've been blessed with some really good ones in 7 years, Coach.
Yeah, we've had really good, we had Jack West when I first got here. We had Zane Donnelly during the COVID season who did a phenomenal job. Then I had Mosier for almost 3 years, then Kaz for 2. So that was a huge question mark. As soon as, that last game ended, it was all right, what are we going to do here? And we felt confident. We feel good that we had a senior we could put back there we feel still confident he can get back there and get it done. We had a junior we felt we could get it done. But we got fortunate enough. We had a player transfer in from Alabama. Neil Brown is his name. He's right now he's taking the reins of the offense a little bit. The guys have centered around him. He's doing a really good job. He is going to be a junior for us. He played at high school in Alabama, started on their varsity team as a sophomore and took him to the second round of the playoffs. So we're really, really excited about him. Very, very athletic. And I think he's going to do a really good job for us. But we still have guys that we feel like that can get it done.
Absolutely. You look at this offense, and the quarterback's extremely important. Those dudes up front are important. Skill position, all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot as a play caller that you are. What else are you excited about? Who else are you excited about on that offensive side of the football? Davenport North's offense has scored plenty of points. I mean, we've become accustomed to watching you guys score points. Who do you like, and how does it look this year?
We're excited. We lose a lot of skill players this year. One person that is back for us is Derek Pena, is our running back. He's going to be back. Him and Mason Bogan split a lot of time last year. We're just trying to figure out the piece of how much defense Derek's going to play and all that. We got to transfer in from again Carson Williams. He's going to be playing a lot too. So him and Derek will definitely be a two-headed monster. And he's the same way with Carson. He might be playing a lot of corner for us. So, whoever's out there on defense will be playing running back. And if someone else goes out on defense, the other one's going to be playing running back for us. We're excited. Those two will definitely be able to make plays for us. And then receiver spots right now, we're looking to incorporate a little bit more of a tight end. I'm not a big tight end guy. My coaches are going to laugh at that interview because I always say I can't say that word. But we're looking to add that a little bit more into our offense. But we have, Rhett Butler, Alex Reyna, Malachi McCurran, Bryce Pauly, Donovan Holloway. We have a ton, Jay Sean Clark, Christian Shorter. We have a ton of kids that we're going to try to throw in at wide receiver and get a good rotation in to keep fresh legs in. We're really, really excited about that.
Absolutely. Adam HIte joining me on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. How's that defense look at Davenport North this season? I know before we started, that's one thing that you were bullish on, if it's an okay term to use. What's the defense look like for the Wildcats this year?
They've for camp for the last 3 days, they've been whooping my tail right now. In all of our 7-on-7s, they have been just lights out. Like I said, consistency. Coach Fisher's been with me. He's been here now, I think, for almost 10 years, maybe even more. But he's been calling the defense here, and he's done a phenomenal job. And I know he's really excited. Yesterday, he was throwing out a lot of compliments to our guys, and it's something that's hard to come by from him a little bit. But he was throwing them out yesterday like dollar bills, and they're just phenomenal. We got Hunter Bennett, playing linebacker for us. Like I said, Derek Penny is playing at linebacker. Donovan Holloway is playing linebacker. We have Kenny Purnell, who has an offer from Youngstown State that's looked really, really good. Tay Watson had a great Platteville camp. The other coaches that were up there with us could not believe how good he was. They thought he was really, really impressive. Corners, we got Demarius Tate and Christian Shorter, who are returning. They've also seen a lot of playing time. About Pauly, I haven't even mentioned Drew Sheedy yet, a 4-year starter for us. We are really loaded on defense, and it shows when they go against us. But I always telling the offensive guys, if we can move the ball against these guys, we'll be able to move the ball against anybody because they are very, very good right now. We're playing at a high level.
Coach, you mentioned the Thursday night start, so 3 weeks from right now. What does this next 3 weeks look like when it comes to things you want to get done? No coach ever feels like, I don't think they're ready for the opening game of the season. You mentioned Muscatine. What do you have to do between now and 3 weeks from right now in order to feel ready to go on a Thursday night at Brady Street Stadium?
Muscatine runs an unusual offense, something we're not used to. They're going to be two tight ends. They're going to be wishbone that time. They're going to have wings in motion and all that. So we've been taking little snippets every day and, installing our Muscatine defense to kind of get ready to go for those guys. That's the big question. We want to make sure because it's different than what we do normally on defense. So we've been making sure we just slowly incorporate that. And as the date gets closer, we're going to keep expanding, and making sure. And the other part of that too is getting, our scout team offense. I've got a backup quarterback right now, Andre Rodriguez, and I'm telling him hey man, this is your offense. I need you to master this offense because if you make this offense happen for us in practice, we're going to have a good shot at winning this game. And he's really taking ownership in that and rallying around, getting the guys together so we can make sure we can execute that offense at a high level because it is different than what we do. They're running a lot of trap and belly. Pin and pull sweeps and all that. We're not a big into that. So it's just different for us. So they really take ownership in that. And then offensively for us, we feel really good, about what we've been running in practice. And, we run a version of the area. I don't want to say it's a true area. We run a version of it. And, I tell my players and coaches all the time, be comfortable with boredom because what we're going to do is going to be boring. We're going to keep running the same plays. We're going to get really good at it, but we're going to be able to execute at a high level.
Coach, you look at your schedule, big picture wise, obviously there's the Central and the West on the schedules. Burlington, Clinton, North Scott, a 4A look for you guys this year and districts being in 4A. How much does that change things for you? It is different when you look, the familiar opponents are there, but the move to 4A is something that you had mentioned to me last year. I think when we were chatting during the season. How does that change things? Some different looks, some different opponents, but some familiar opponents when it goes back to the old MAC days and that kind of things as well. You look at your schedule as a whole. What do you think? What are kind of the headlines that come out when you look at it?
We still got to win. That's got to be first and foremost. This dish, like, now it's kind of different than, the RPI a little bit with 5A and all that stuff. But the end game is you still got to win games, and we got to shoot. You can't always rely on it with 4A, being the RPI team. You still got to shoot to be that top 2 to make sure you get into the playoffs and all that. So it's going to be different for us. We're playing, I think, West Central, Muscatine. We're the only 3 that we had from last year on our schedule. So it's going to be different. We got Clear Creek Amana coming in. I know they're a younger program, but they're very solid. They've got a lot of great athletes out there, a lot of high-ranking athletes on IA football that have come back. So that's going to be a great test for us. Marion, we've never played before, I don't believe. That's our first road trip, so we're heading out there. I know they're returning a lot of players. Me and their coach have gotten to know each other kind of through the coaching connections and, state meetings and all that stuff. Then we come back home and we got Western Dubuque, who we've never played before, but is a perennial power. I mean, they won a state championship not too long ago. So, and they're always really, really good. They give North Scott always a run for their money, and sometimes they get them, and North Scott sometimes gets them. So that's going to be a good test for us. And then I always forget if it's Burlington or Clinton first, but I actually haven't coached against Burlington since 2020.
Wow.
So and I've never gone against Clinton. So I think they played Clinton in 2017 before I got here, but yeah, we've scrimmaged Clinton, but I've never had a true game against Clinton. So, and then North Scott, who we haven't played since 2021, I think it was, or 2022. We haven't played North Scott. So it's some familiar opponents, but we haven't played these guys in a while. So it's going to be interesting. I know some of the coaching turnover has happened quite a bit in some of those schools. So, but we're excited. The 4A was definitely a good boost for us. We feel like we're going to be more competitive at this level. And I told the kids, it's not going to be handed to us. I go, guys, there's some good 1As out there, even A schools that would whoop our tails if we don't go out and execute. So it doesn't matter what level we're at. We still got to go out there and do our jobs and execute at a high level.
Last one for you before I let you go, and I don't want you to get in trouble or any bulletin board material or anything like that, but and I've worked with Brian Stocking for a long time, so I understand the rivalry that is Davenport. You won the city of Davenport last year. Those games are always so important. Obviously, they're not district games and all those kind of things, but what are those games like? We recently on the show with Greg Armstrong did best rivalries in the state of Illinois on our side, and we were going to do one in Iowa, and I'm still planning on doing one, but we kind of started talking about that off the air, and it's like, it's I think the rivalry in the city of Davenport is almost more than what some people think, unless you got to be in it to know it. What does it mean to win the city of Davenport? Those games, they are different when it comes to intensity and energy level and all those kind of things.
It's just, it's a weird intensity. I want to go back to 2022, I want to say. 2022, I mean, we were 0-7 on the year. I think Central was 2-5. So, we had a horrible year that year. We just couldn't get anything going. But, we came out and we just absolutely, tore Central up. And then we went the next week and we got ourselves tore up. It's just kind of one of those, it's any Friday night against those teams. And it's a fun environment because I know Coach Nunn. No, Coach Berg. Me and Coach Berg grew up 2 towns away from each other back in Chicago. So, talking to those guys, me and Berg have talked almost after every one of our games the next Saturday morning about, what did you see? What did I see? So the coaching side of it is very friendly, but I would say the player side, we got to keep our guys a little tamed in a little bit because they get excited. They get up for it. We've had our best success when us as coaches, at least for the North team, we don't really, talk about it. That's where it's been the best for us. There's been years where I've tried Jim Harbaugh, Xing out all the W's and C's in the school and all that. And we've always gotten bit by that. And I'm just kind of it's Central Week. If you guys aren't up for it, I don't know what I can do. And they usually get up for it, or West Week. It doesn't matter. So, but those games are fun. Especially, I love it when it's weird. It's weird, but I love it when Central's the home team because that crowd is usually packed because they've got their band, their family members there, and our side's usually packed. And we're in all whites. Our kids love wearing all white, and we're on our home side still. They're on their home side, And it's that, to me, that's one of the best environments in the state of Iowa, is when Central's home, but I mean, we're home too. It's just because it's Brady Street Stadium,
Yeah.
but the stands are absolutely packed. I remember, I think it was last year, our locker room's on the northeast west side, and like we're getting ready, I'm getting ready to go in to give my final speech to the guys outside our locker room, and I look over and the line is like going down towards Long John Silver's, and I look and my dad's just sitting there waving to me in line, like he's like not even in yet, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, so, and then we get out to the game, and on the south parking lot, that line's wrapped around coming in. It's just so cool to see, like, we're getting ready to start football and people are still coming into the stadium because it's so packed. Like those are just, that's just a fun time. It's like I played in front of more people there than I did in college. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, no, it's a cool environment. It's funny. I did a baseball doubleheader in the end of the season for MediaCom, and it was Central and North, and like it was so chippy, and I get it, I understand it, but it was and not always in a nasty way. It's just these kids know each other so well. They grew up together. So some of it's chippiness, some of it's just taunting, some of it's just friendly ribbing your buddies and all that kind of stuff. So it's good. It's going to be fun.
We have no idea about the ribbing. Like, yeah, that's your best friend over there. Like, you've known him forever, but we're like, hey, you can't say that to him.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey, we just don't know what's going on half the time.
You don't want to get that yellow flag thrown and all of a sudden a little ribbon gets you 15 yards. So, well, Coach, I'm excited about what you guys have this year. I can't wait to watch it, and we wish you guys the best of luck, all those kind of things. I'll be bugging you throughout the year. I won't get yelled at again for not having you on before. So no, I'm just kidding. So I always appreciate you. That boy of yours, he's 4 now?
4.
I remember when you were a dad for the first, like it was a thing, and now he's 4, and it seems like that was last year. So that's crazy.
42 inches and 45 pounds at 4.
Oh my goodness. He's going to be a football player.
He's a massive boy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We'll enjoy him. Wish you guys the best. We'll catch up again real soon. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks for everything you do.
All right. That is Adam HIte, head coach at Davenport North. Plenty of talent at Davenport North this season. It'll be fun to watch the Wildcats on Friday nights and see how they do now in 4A, a 4A school, different district. It'll look a little different, but expect good things from Adam HIte and company. Well, we got more to get to. Coming up, we'll hop the river, go to the Illinois side. We'll head down south a little bit and head to Monmouth Roseville and check in with our good friend Jeremy Adolpson and the Monmouth Roseville Titans. That and much more right here on Off the Air on a Thursday right here in the Quad Cities.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves.
Quad Cities, the moment is here. Your Quad Cities Team Wheelers are one win away from the national championship in Tucson after taking down the Jacksonville Sharks in a playoff thriller. Now it all comes down to Saturday night, August 9th at Vibrant Arena as the Wheelers battle Green Bay for the Eastern Conference title. The biggest home game in nearly 2 decades. Tickets start at just $10. Get them now at steamwheelersfootball.com/playoffs. Let's pack Vibrant Arena and send the Wheelers to the championship where they belong.
Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need mobile party experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile party experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your mobile party experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air on a Thursday here in the Quad Cities. High school football season now nearly just 3 weeks away. 3 weeks from tomorrow, we will kick off the 2025 season. It's crazy how fast it's coming. Earlier this week, we started, in fact, on Monday, we started our off-the-air high school football previews, kind of taking a look at a school from Iowa and Illinois each day by chatting with head coaches. And today on the Illinois side, I'm happy to be joined by the head coach down at Monmouth Roseville. Jeremy Adolpson joins me. Coach, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. Summer good? Everything good?
Absolutely, yeah. Matt, thank you again for the invite. I'm a big fan of the show. I don't know that I listen to all of it every day, but there's probably parts of it through Twitter I pick up like, hey, I want to listen to that 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And it's a very cool thing you're doing for local sports. And I'm a big Hawkeye fan too, so that helps as well for all that news. But summer's been great. It's moving along pretty quickly. As I was saying earlier off the air, I think it's been a little bit slower maybe than some others, which is great to kind of get that feeling like, hey, it's still July, whatever. But now, we're full speed ahead with August and practice getting rolling here on Monday. My athletic director duties definitely picking back up as now everybody else who does my job is back in the office and easy to communicate with.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you. It was funny. I said to my wife the other day, I'm like, the show went like over 2 hours today. And she looks at me and she goes, why would anybody want to listen to you for 2 hours? I'm like, I completely understand. I mean, that's my wife talking. But hey, pieces of it here and there is, trust me, that's all I like. That's all I need. Absolutely. So you guys coming into this season, I guess before we get into the X's and O's and what do you have, what do you don't have, you mentioned like you've been doing this, I don't want to age you, Coach, but you've been doing this for a little bit. And we've talked to, Rusty, 19 years at Pleasant Valley. And I want to talk to you about like where we at with high school football. I know it's a big umbrella question, but is there a big difference for you from maybe back when you were just starting this stuff to now when it comes to high school football? And if there is some big differences, what are they?
Yeah, no, it's this is year 27 for me coaching overall, 25 as a head coach, and I think the biggest difference probably are the summers. Not so much that it's extra time we're putting in, but time on the field for sure. When I first started, football camp was 5 days, the very last week of July, and maybe a couple 7-on-7s here or there, but really minimal football time. It was more strength conditioning and probably needless running that we were doing in June that wasn't going to matter in August or September, but I think the time we get to spend on the field, we've really kind of shortened up probably the number of total days we see kids, but definitely that month of July, getting on the field a little bit more, doing more things with yourself. And then the last few years when the HSAs allowed us to get together with other schools and do some joint practices, I think that's been a major change. And I think a good change overall because you kind of get a better feel for your kids. Or they're more excited to go against somebody else than they are against their own teammates over and over again. And as a coach, you get to evaluate your kids. I think a lot better in those situations because you really kind of find out, can we do the things that look okay in practice against a scout team, but maybe are a little rough when you go against somebody else that's got players like you do. So that's a major change. But the kids overall, I think, are pretty much the same. I think the only major difference is in year 2000, my first year as a head coach, I gave them a paper schedule, and you just expected them all to be there, and you really didn't spend a lot of time on the phone in your apartment calling kids if they weren't around. Now, it's sending out reminders, and you got the schedules that are links that update with the parents and all the information that you're giving them. It's kind of amazing to think that 15, 20 years ago, people just always showed up and were on time and knew where to be, and they really had a piece of paper handed to them probably in April that they worked off of, where now you're constantly, pumping information out there and trying to get those reminders because everybody else's life, because they can live this way. It seems busier, even maybe it's not busier, but it seems busier because of all the different things that are going on.
It's funny, Coach, because you mentioned like going against each other during the summer. The NFL does that, the joint practices. Nobody plays in the preseason games anymore, but they love the joint practices because you do beat up on each other a lot. I remember going to do football preview after football preview after football preview, and coaches would be like, I think I like what I have, but I don't know, I'd always get we're just tired of hitting each other. We're waiting to talk about that change you mentioned about, and how do you approach it? Do you want to play up? I don't know if that makes sense, and maybe play bigger schools, or are you looking for how do you approach it, I guess, each and every year, or is it different each and every year, and how do you approach it?
We've made small changes throughout the years that we've done this. We started off as kind of like my coaching buddies is who we got together with. We utilized Monmouth College or Knox College around here and did some of those things. And then, as it's progressed, you start thinking more about your team and kind of what do you need. This year we were with United and Knoxville at Monmouth College. They're both local. It's easy for everybody to get there and utilize that facility is great for us. But then our second one was at Moline High School. And, looking at that for us, it was, they're going to be way more athletic than we are. We're not terribly fast anytime here recently, but really not this year. But we knew they had a good football program, and we knew they'd get under center and run wing T stuff. And we're playing Mercer County this year, week 1, who they're not scrimmaging anybody. They're not joint practicing anybody, but word on the street is they're going under center for the first time, exclusively in 25, 30 plus years. And so we got to get a chance to see that. And I know they're fast. So I was like, if we can go check out Moline, see what our line looks like against, Western Big Six defensive lineman, offensive lineman, and then get a chance to see that speed. We thought that was a great way to finish up the summer. So and then when we do our week 0 scrimmage, it's with Galesburg. So it's kind of a combination. It's close, but we're also getting to see some of that speed, some of that athleticism to prep us for, the most athletic teams that we'll see on our schedule.
Jeremy Adolpson joined me right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Coach, you look back to last year, and I want to preview this year, but last year was a special season, 8-1, and the thing that those seniors did, that entire team did. But success is nothing new down at Monmouth Roseville. You've had a great run down there. What does a season like last year and an 8-1 regular season kind of do for this year, kind of as a launching point to kind of twofold? Because one, the 8-1 gives them motivation on how to do it, and then maybe the way it ended probably gives motivation in an opposite way. Kind of talk about how you used last year to launch into this year.
Yeah, last year was great. Our senior class was fantastic. Our juniors and sophomores and freshmen that contributed were awesome last year. We had a huge come from behind win against Kewanee in the fourth quarter. We had a fantastic night against Princeton to get them for the first time since the first year we got in the conference, the last time we beat them. So, getting some of those things, conference championship, which we'd never had outright before. There's just a lot of cool accomplishments go with it. But we had, you kind of felt it building, but also you looked at that schedule and you're like, man, it's still possible to go 4-5 against this schedule. There's some really good teams we're going to have to beat, and to go 8-1 was obviously a great accomplishment. And then, disappointing end in the playoffs against a really good PBL team who basically was really the only team all year that physically stood up to us as far as the physicality and the size and all those things. And, we know the 3A North is going to be like that, every year. But, one of the things that when I talked with our kids in May, I think one of the last meetings we had, I just put up on the board, 31-3 or 22-20. 31-3 was a win against Princeton, and what that felt like, and just the feelings you have around that game and those memories, or 22-20, which was the losing with 40 seconds to go in regulation in the first round of the playoffs. And so as you get up and determine whether you want to get up and go to a workout, or how hard do you want to work while you're there, or football camp or whatever it is, just to kind of find a little motivation that. A lot of those feelings are predetermined. They're taken care of in the when nobody's watching, whether it's the weight room or it's summer camp in July or it's a practice on a random drill on a Tuesday or a segment on a Tuesday where you do something that helps you win those games, or your opponent does. So we try to utilize that a lot. We've got a lot of kids. Our senior class, we've got 5 of those kids that were starters as sophomores when we won a playoff game with a 5-4 record, and then when they were juniors, when we were 8-1 and we lose the first playoff game. So they kind of know that, it's nothing is given, and looking ahead at this year, probably more so than ever, it's going to be a rough 9-week schedule because there aren't a lot of teams that you can point at and say that team is not making the playoffs in the track. There's just not a lot of that, maybe not any of that really at this point.
Yeah, we had Chip Filler on yesterday, and he said there's no layups in the Three Rivers. Kind of talk about that because, I've talked with Greg Armstrong at length. That's what I do with Greg is we talk high school football. It's crazy. Yep. But it's one of those, you look at that, especially your division, and you're like, where's the non-playoff team, if that makes any sense? So everybody can't win every Friday night. So kind of just talk about the challenge that you have in your own conference. And it's bad because it's a tough schedule, but it's really good because it's going to make you better for surviving that schedule and maybe the postseason, all those kind of things. It's a really good conference, Coach.
It's loaded. Our 4 crossover games are Mercer County, Orient, Rockridge, and Newman. And you think, man, those are like the best 4 teams on the other side. It's like, well, Riverdale thinks they're going to make the playoffs again, and I think they got a pretty good chance to as well. And Erie Prophetstown was just in there last year, and they've returned a lot. So, that's all 6 teams over there are really good. There's not a good way to pull your crossovers there. And then on our side, of course, Princeton, with what they've been able to do over the long haul there with Coach Pearson, we got them last year. They're still the team to beat. Beating them one time doesn't change the pecking order in any way. Kewanee, Coach Taylor does an awesome job with those guys. They'll be super athletic and tough, and they had us beat essentially. We had to convert a 4th and 4 with under a couple minutes to go to get a win there, and then Sherrard with Coach McGuire coming by. I saw the preview with him, and it looks like the kids are very excited there. And he's got Carter Brown as a fantastic athlete, bought in as the QB, and then Hall returns a ton. Mendota, Coach Eustace coming in from Peru St. Bede. I think he'll get those guys going there as well. So, it's just, my thought on the schedule is somebody's going to be 3-6. And if you put them in the playoffs, would have a really good chance of winning a game against anybody in their class. Someone's going to go 3-6 because they lost some tough ones because it's mathematically, it's not possible for all the good teams to get 5 or more. And it's great preparation. It's part of why we typically do pretty well in the playoffs. Like I said, 2 years ago, we're 5-4. Had to win our last 2 games to get in. We're playing North Boone from Byron's conference. They're 7-2, and we kind of ran them over that night in the first round. Just because of who we played. Once we got on the field, our kids realized, wait a minute, it doesn't matter what their record is. We played teams like this before. We can handle this, and it's fantastic preparation. It's why the teams like Princeton and Newman and Rockridge not only make the playoffs, they go kind of deep when they get in there.
Absolutely. You mentioned the playoffs last year. That was the first team to be as physical as you guys always pride yourselves on being physical and toughness and guys up front and all that kind of stuff. Talk about this year's team. Let's kind of unwrap the present a little bit. What are the strengths of this year's team? Where do you want to be good at? Is it the trenches? Kind of talk about what this identity for Monmouth Roseville will be this year.
It'll be a lot of the same. We obviously lost some really, really good football players. We returned some good ones too, and got some kids I think that are chomping at the bit to help us out. I think up front we should be pretty good again. We returned Brody Dodd and Landon Angelo, the left side of our line. They were both unanimous first-team all-conference kids last year. I believe, I'm biased, but I think they're the best 2 linemen in the conference, and it's nice to have them side by side because you get the ball going their way. You're going to usually do some pretty good things, and they're also our 2 most athletic linemen. They're the guys that do the most pulling as well, so we can work them both sides. We got to replace 3 other offensive linemen and our tight end, but I think the guys we got are working really hard and I think are making some progress there. And really during the summer from one joint practice to the next, took some big steps there, even with a step up in competition. So I think our backfield has some good depth once again. We lose Peyton Thompson, who was our leading rusher and had a lot of the big splash plays for us last year, but we return the next 3, Nick Houston, who's probably our best blocker, best receiver, and this year probably our best runner. He's also started both ways as a sophomore. Now he's a senior. Andrew Way is back, first-team all-conference linebacker, really good fullback. Landon Montroy, who took over for him at fullback and split the time with him last year, just going to be a junior. He's back. He had a bunch of carries for us last year. And then we had a couple other kids that hadn't touched the ball a lot on the offensive side last year that will this year that I think can really help us out. The biggest thing we're looking at is we don't have a lot of depth, especially as you work back off of like linebacker to DB. It's weird. I feel like every other school in the state has all these 155-pound kids that are little and run around. Like, we just don't have those guys. Like, one of our starting corners is 6'2", 205 pounds. He shouldn't play corner, but he has to because we don't have guys like that back there. We have another kid who's 6'3", 180 pounds back there who's going to play safety. They're big kids, but I think our frontline guys, I think, will be really, really solid. It's just when you go to the depth, we're looking at freshmen, potentially freshmen and sophomores for sure, that could be the first ones in that may have to fill a starting spot at some point. And the way football is, you're going to have to play. There's going to be a time where a kid's, a helmet snap breaks, and you got to get a kid out there. So that's the challenging part. And then replacing our quarterback to your starting quarterback's a big thing. But we got Clay Castillo, who's been a defensive starter for 2 years, and I think we'll do a great job there for us as well.
When you look at it too, Coach, the season comes quickly. How quickly do you guys, obviously there's things that you like, things you don't like and you need to fix. And then you mentioned a lot of guys that are ready to step up. Is that the beauty of high school football, is watching maybe these next 3 weeks and then, weeks after that develop and finding these guys that you don't know about right now, but sure, by week 5, you're really excited about moving forward into the future?
Yeah, without a doubt. That's and I think that's what makes teams, right? Everybody's got, if they plan on being good, everybody's got those 5 or 6 kids that they're pretty sure are going to be pretty good, And the problem is it's an 11-man game out there. And honestly, between offense and defense, you probably better have 16, 17, 18 guys you think can play because there's very few teams that are going to survive with guys going both ways against a quality opponent week after week after week. So, our first joint practice, I was talking with some of our coaches and we were exchanging some text messages. We're watching the film and I was like, did our offensive line even practice like these last 3 weeks like that? Like, I don't even know. I don't know what we were doing, but that's not what we do, like, at all. And then we have one practice the next week before we go against Moline, who's infinitely better up front on defense. And we had a couple guys who looked great. Like, all of a sudden, like, I went from like, can this kid play to like, I think he can be first team all conference if he keeps, if he plays like that, and so that's a really cool part. And then you hope you see that obviously throughout the preseason, and then you get your scrimmage in, and there's going to be things in the scrimmage that you want to fix, and hopefully you get those better for week 1. And the thing I tell when we have newer coaches come in, because obviously there's a frustration of like, what is he doing here? Or he's standing up, or whatever the case is. And you got to understand, in a state championship game, there's 22 guys out there every play. I would bet you, if you ask their coaches, at least 3 to 5 on each team didn't do at all what you were asking them to do or the way they're supposed to do it. You just need to make sure that you've got the 3 and they've got the 5. Like, if they got the 5 guys screwing up and you got the 3 guys screwing up, you're going to win more plays than not. So it's a game of mistakes. You're just trying to limit the ones you can handle because the game's hard enough with somebody on the other side. If you're not putting your hands, your eyes, or your feet where they need to be, it gets real difficult against some of the guys that we'll go against.
Absolutely. A few more for you before I let you go. View from the West kickoff party is coming up on August 17th. I've talked about it every day. I'm going to continue to talk about it. I love what Greg does and Mitch does, yep. and they're part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I could see what they did and saw the success that they end up having. I think it's really cool what he's doing, and we're going to do it together, and I'm going to have a bunch of fun. August 17th at the Other Bar in Moline. And the Other Bar in Moline is not down the street from Monmouth Roseville. And you're coming up. Kind of talk about that. We appreciate that. We think it's awesome. And that's a little bit of an effort on your end, but you're showing support for high school football in this area, and I know that's something that's very important to you.
Yeah, I know we're probably kind of on the southern tip probably of your broadcasting area and the people that you're normally reaching, but I love it. I'm a football junkie, sports junkie. I grew up in Aledo at the radio station, and when you got interviewed for WRMJ, it was a huge deal. As a high school kid, and even as a coach, and then all the things you guys have done. Like, I loved it when you get a hold of me and say, "Hey, we're coming down to do a preview tomorrow," because I loved it just because I grew up watching that stuff, but also like kids go harder. Like when the TV cameras are there, kids are going that day.
It's very true.
So I was like, we need to get done like every day. No, I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, when we, I didn't know exactly where the Other Bar was, but we took the kids to Bad Boys Pizza after the Moline scrimmage there and saw it when we were leaving. So, oh, that's exactly where I need to be. So I did a little advanced scouting for the location. I'm looking for. I think it's a really cool event. Actually, my first year at Monmouth Roseville in 2011. Bo Spencer was down here doing some radio stuff, and he had one at Buffalo Wild Wings in Galesburg where there was half a dozen coaches probably. I was like, man, this is really cool. And then he left, and it never happened again. So I'm always a little jealous of the Western Big Six banquet that UMC up there. I always think that's a really cool idea up there. So, yeah, I'm really happy to get up there and get involved. My wife's coming up with, she's like, what's going on? Like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. Like, I might talk on the air. I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes. I have no idea what it's going to be. But I said, it'll be fun, cool, see a bunch of coaches that I know, and hopefully the weather's great and get a chance to get out on a Sunday.
Yeah, I told Greg, I go, so many coaches sound like they're coming that it's going to be like a 6-hour or 12-hour like telethon where we might as well start raising money or something. But no, it's really cool to see the support that we get and View from the West gets from you guys as well. It's awesome stuff. Are you still letting Coach Jamie Smith hang out around the program? Is that still a thing? And if you want to, do you want to rethink that kind of stuff? Like, I don't know, Coach. I think like 8-1's pretty good. Probably 9-0 without Jamie last year. I'm just saying.
No, I'll tell you what. I met Jamie. I think my very first year, he brought a watermelon for a post practice, like our first Saturday practice. I didn't know who he was, but he'd reached out to one of our other assistants or athletic director or somebody. So I got to meet him there. And then obviously he was running the horn at the games down in Monmouth there for years. And a great story about Jamie is when we went to Herscher in the quarterfinals in 2018, he packed up the horn. Like it was in the back of his pickup truck. And once we got in town, he got in the back of the truck with it moving, and he's blaring the horn that we do after all of our scores. So we're coming into town there. It was fantastic. And then I think he asked me that year or the year after. He started coaching during the COVID season, I think.
Okay.
And so he's been helping out for quite a while. Then Keegan, believe it or not, his son is a sophomore.
Yeah.
And he was our ball boy, I think, for like 7 or 8 years before he got to high school. And fun fact, his first varsity start ever, we had a kid injured. He started the Princeton game last year. So the first time he started the varsity football game is arguably one of the best regular season wins in the history of Monmouth Roseville. So now Jamie does a great job, puts a lot of time in with football for sure, but also assistant wrestling coach. And I'm really lucky. I've got two of my assistants, Dan Morrison and Kevin Ferry, have been with me since I got here in 2011. So us three have been together for 15 years. Two of my other assistants are former players, guys that played on, one of them played on that quarterfinal team. Another one was on a second round qualifying team. So we have very, very invested Monmouth Roseville people on the coaching staff that are all great guys and awesome to get along with. And we have a new one joining us this year is going to be great. I've just been really lucky. Like I've never coached with a jerk in all of my time, which is pretty awesome. So, or maybe that means that I'm the jerk, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. But I don't want to say anything, but that kind of seems what and Jamie's as good as gold. Keegan's my guy. So that's fantastic to hear. He's really good people. Last thing. It's your 10th anniversary, and you're hanging out with me on a goofy YouTube show. First off, happy anniversary. Your wife is a saint. I think it's more happy anniversary to her and not to you.
Sure.
10 years.
10 years today. It's kind of weird. I got married on a Friday night before a Monday practice. We moved it from a Saturday to Friday to get a little extra time in there. But we always get away for the weekend, just something relatively local. For a couple days. So we're going to take off for Michigan City tomorrow morning, bright and early, with actually my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. One of them coached with Rusty at Pleasant Valley for years and years and years, and he's not doing it this year. So he's got a chance to get away, and their anniversary is only a day separated from ours. So
awesome.
Going to get away for a couple days. It'll be a lot of fun and enjoyable to spend time there. And the nice thing is, like, I know guys always talk about forgetting their anniversary. Like, I'm never going to forget. Like, it's right before practice starts. Like, It's within a week, no matter how the schedule falls. So, but yeah, she's got to work today. I'm getting a few things done today so we can get away. But I've been pretty lucky. I got an awesome family that always supports me, and so it's it's part of why you can keep doing things like this for as long as I have.
Well, Jeremy, you've always been outstanding to me. I appreciate that. I appreciate your friendship. I can't wait to see you on August 17th. I'll buy you a beer. Bring that knucklehead Jamie Smith up with you if he wants to come up. He knows the way to the Quad Cities. I'm going to make sure I spread the word so many guys want to make sure. I bet he'll be there. Yeah, he knows the way to the Quad Cities with all the stuff he's traveled up here too. So I appreciate you. Happy anniversary. Tell your wife happy anniversary. We'll catch up again real soon.
Appreciate it, Matt. Thank you.
All right, that is Jeremy Adolpson, the head coach at Monmouth Roseville, our Illinois side of the river preview. And he's right, the Three Rivers, and it always is, but the Three Rivers is going to be fascinating to watch this season. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Thursday. I almost forgot what day it is. Thursday, right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Quad Cities, the moment is here. Your Quad Cities team wheelers are one win away from the national championship in Tucson after taking down the Jacksonville Sharks in a playoff thriller. Now it all comes down to Saturday night, August 9th at Vibrant Arena as the Wheelers battle Green Bay for the Eastern Conference title. The biggest home game in nearly 2 decades. Tickets start at just $10. Get them now at steamwheelersfootball.com/playoffs. Let's pack Vibrant Arena and send the Wheelers to the championship where they belong.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. The Steam Wheelers commercial is a good reminder. Get out and support the Wheelers this weekend. Huge game, rivalry game as well. Green Bay and the Wheelers. Green Bay's won 2 out of 3 this year. The winner heads to Tucson, Arizona, and the IFL championship game. So, as mentioned in the commercial. Tickets for as low as $10. So get out there, 7:05 Saturday night. Great crowd last week. Making an even bigger crowd this week. Support guys locally like Stud Rudd, Jordan Vesey, who was on our show yesterday, Rock Island Zone, and Augustana Zone. Doing big things. Coach Ross, an amazing dude. Doug Bland, the ownership group, awesome people. So get out and support the Wheelers coming up Saturday evening as well. Want to remind everybody about tomorrow's show. We are doing Off the Air with Matt Randazzo live from Iowa Football Media Day. Kirk Ferentz is at 1:45 over in the press box. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be a 3 o'clock, 3:15 start time for us for this show over at the practice field. So be ready for that. Obviously, if you're subscribing, you will get the notification from YouTube. Also, we'll be live on X here as well, so I'll send out plenty of updates and pushes as well. But Pat Anger will be with me for a little bit. maybe Gary Dolphin. I'm going to try to get some players, some coaches, some local Quad City guys as well. Should be a ton of fun. Also, a little announcement, a little update involving yours truly coming up on tomorrow's show as well that I'm pretty excited about. So that is tomorrow. So no show in the morning. I might sleep in. People give me a hard time. They think, well, you just go upstairs and do a 2-hour podcast every day, which I do, but it's a little work to put together. So I usually get up here by 7 o'clock. I'm doing interviews sometimes at 7:30. So I may sleep in tomorrow, depending if my kids allow it. So one more week of the kids at home next week, and then they go back to school. And then you see this. You see a lot of smiling going on. So a few news and notes before we let you go. Bears news and notes. Cole Clement left practice yesterday with an injury. He was back at practice fine today, so good news for the Bears. Luke Altmaier, Illinois starting quarterback, has been named a finalist for the on the watch list, I should say, not finalist, on the watch list for the Davey O'Brien Award. Illinois number 22 in the coaches poll yesterday. Intriguing to see where they land on the AP poll as well. Again, Iowa State and Jake Brend was on earlier. They're 22 in the coaches poll. Iowa not ranked by the coaches of yet. Former Hawkeye news and notes. Our good friend Joe Wieskamp, former Muscatine standout, has signed a contract to play in Germany next season with the Science City Jena. So extremely excited for Joe. He's played in the NBA, in the G League, last year in Australia, going to Germany this year. One of the best people you're ever going to meet. So him and his awesome family heading over to Germany to play some basketball professionally this year as well. Ryan Bowen, another former Hawkeye, has been named the head coach of the Grand Rapids Gold of the G League. So it's a Denver affiliate. He's been in the Nuggets organization for a while, doing great things as a coach. So Ryan Bowen, good for him. I can see him being a head coach. You know, his name, when Tom Caker and I kind of talked, an out of the blue or an off the cuff, if you will, replacement for Fran McCaffrey would have been a Ryan Bowen. Congratulations to him. Also, congratulations once again to Chasen Randall. He's heading into the Stanford Hall of Fame. That's September 26th. Caught up with Chasen, texted him last couple days. We're going to try to hook up over the weekend and have him on the show Monday or Tuesday. So we will get that to you guys. I tell people, anybody that'll listen to me, and actually Chasen's, I don't want to take the two shot, but all these pictures behind me, Chasen's is one of them. One of my favorite people I've ever gotten to cover. We've made good friends with him through the years and really enjoyed watching his journey. He's just a good human being. Families, good people as well. So excited and extremely, extremely happy for him. So always enjoy my conversations with Chasen Randall. We'll bring you one of those coming up early next week as well. So again, no show early tomorrow. A show in the afternoon tomorrow. Hopefully, God willing, we'll be live from Iowa Football Media Day at the practice fields in Iowa City. We're excited about that. And then a little weekend, kind of recharge, and we'll get rocking and rolling again next week. The high school football previews have been a ton of fun. So if you're an Iowa side of the river person, we've previewed Pleasant Valley, North Scott, Assumption, and Davenport North this week. So go check them out and catch up on your schools. On the Illinois side, it was United Township, Sterling, Orion, and Monmouth Roseville, who we've talked to this week as well. So go check those out. We'll continue those all the way up into the start of high school football season. Excited about what we're planning on doing with this show during high school football season. It should be a lot of fun in those regards as well. More announcements on that coming soon. And of course, if you're interested in doing some things with the show, if you're a business owner and you're interested in partnering or sponsoring Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, please reach out. Let me know. We got to thank our fantastic sponsors before we go, allowing me to get to do this each and every day. And we're going to add one next week. I hope we get that up and running as well. Skiles Driving School as well. So, but Hungry Hobo, Rafferty Funeral Home, Godfather's Pizza, Andy Furman, the best in the business. Their food, their pizza is awesome. The Quad City Steamwheelers, good luck to them this weekend. Snoop, as always, my guy, and Mobile Party Experience. I'm excited for the football season with them. I talked about some fun things we'll be doing on Fridays. We'll be doing some fun things with Mobile Party Experience as well, and their awesome party trailers. So thank you to these amazing partners, and thank you guys for watching Off the Air here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. I'm going to wrap things up a little bit earlier than I have been this week because I got to pack things up and get ready to hit the road for Iowa City and Iowa Football Media Day. We're doing the show live from there tomorrow afternoon. We will see you then. Have a great Thursday, Quad Cities.